Good morning, you guys. This is Rick, coming to you from sunny Key West, Florida. Hope you all are doing fine. I know you guys are looking at something here. This was that Hopi Prophecy Rock business. I've learned a few more things since then, and listened to the stories somewhat a little bit closer. And of course, you know, I know you can't really read this anymore up here, but this was these three chiefs. They were called, these were big chiefs. These were actually 4 chiefs. 3 of them were bad and 1 of them was good. And they said that these guys had 2 hearts and that this one had just 1 heart. So that goes to show more about this idea, this being the West. The West is the intellect in our minds. This is the four worlds, 4 ways of our minds, the 4-fold of nature, our man's nature, and that is our intellect, our physical side, the emotional side, and of course the spiritual side. And this shows that this is a west to east movement where you're going up to the mountains. And of course, I spoke on the idea of these deltas. And the delta is the frequency. Delta is the highest frequency that our minds can get into, and it's a healing frequency. And it's a natural cause. And if you would know that if you were going to serve the Lord in these ideas, is that to serve the Lord would be to go into meditation, and this comes out of our fornix. This is called the delta fornix. This comes from our mind, like almost like the phoenix. This is the Bin stone. This is where the fiery phoenix sits on the top of this and burns and is rebuilt again. This is the whole story about coming in here. There's no hocus pocus. And yeah, that's a myth, but it also is telling you what happens when you go inside. You get this little feather. This is the idea that, you know, once you obtain Israel, whenever you're even and you connect to the right side, you can grow old with this. Old age. This is a long age, long life, and fresh life, fresh growth, new you. And this is the rising sun. The delta coming down, there is this constellation in the sky, and it's called the Delta Fornax. So this is the answer. This is the prayer going up. When you're giving yourself up, this is the sacrifice, and this becomes your reward. The thief, the robber, the gift. Alright? And it's Delta conscious. Alright? And that's really all this is talking about. And this cross, I just realized in another, when I'm learning a little bit about Hebrew. This is this cross does not, it just means covenant. You know, like this is a covenant that you make with the Lord in order. So this is probably the sun over here. And so, and the idea of being an archer is that you set your aim high. And so that's another part of these stories, and it's just really beautiful in a way. And I believe that's about it for this one here. I just wanted to get you caught up that this is Delta Fornix. This is the prayer. This is what this is, and you're David. That can be, all of these symbols can be hijacked and done anything they want to with them. They really can. You know, it's really 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's like the Buddhist symbol with the wheel, the 8-turn wheel, and of course the swastika sign. These are all crosses. All of those mean the same thing. It's what we do to them that gives them less anything, you know, or makes them greater or worse. But what I was going to show you is I was listening to this man describe some Hebrew lettering, and the way the Bible starts off, it says, "In the beginning." Let's see if I can get that going. B-E-G-I-N. I'm not really sure how to spell it, but we're just going to do that. In the beginning. Now, supposedly, the way the Bible's really well built, there's no "the" in there, and it was written in Hebrew, and they do everything backwards. So what you normally would get is you would get, let's see, in the beginning, you have to do each one of these letters differently, or a couple of them at the same time. So what you get is you get bet, you get bet, resh, bet, and resh, and elf, which is A-L-E-P-H, elf, shin, or shine, and we get Yod, Y-O-D, and we get Tav, T-A-V. Now, what is interesting, bet means house. It means house or tent. So we're just going to say house or tent. And of course, you know, in our Bible there, these people, the people of the children of Israel, they pitch tents. The idea of pitching a tent. This is a code word for meditation. All right. And the idea of the house is that you're going into the house, and of course there's also an entrance into the tent. You know, otherwise you're outside. If you can remember, a whole lot of Moses was, where's your wife? She's just outside the tent, and then all of a sudden she was inside the tent. So anyways, bet is a tent or house, and it looks like this. It has this little turnaround symbol. Looks like that. It's a box that's kind of collapsing in on itself. That's what the word looks like, or the letter. Resh means first. It's the highest person, and it's a head. It actually has a head. The highest person. All right, and it has a shape that looks like a head, like so. It has that, like a face, and a neck, and some hair. And I might be doing this wrong. Maybe the hair goes like this, but it looks like that. It looks like the head with a chin and a neck. All right. Alf means strength. This is the strength. And it winds up being something that looks like this. An ox head. Shin means to consume. It means to consume. It's also to destroy. Which is pretty interesting. And it looks like this. They call this teeth. This is teeth. So it's to chew. It's to eat. Remember, that's the feast. Alright? Yod is hands and or works. So we know that there are works that are involved. And it usually means the 6 chakras, the different levels that you have to climb. And it's called works. And what this represents is this. This is called the arm. Alright? The arm and the hand. So this is the arm coming down, and this is what they call the hand. Look at that. Alright? Very interesting. And Tav is the covenant. This is where I was mixing the two lessons together. This is the covenant, or the mark, C-O-V-E-N-A-N-T, covenant, or the mark. And of course that is a cross. Now, when you read these together, they say that the head comes first, so the head would be up here, and then it just reads down the road here. And guess what it says? Guess what it says? Just by taking the letters themselves apart from the first first three words of the Bible. It says, the Son of God, the Son of God. This is actually, these three right here, this is the Son of God. The Son of God is destroyed by his own hand, willingly, his covenant, willingly on a cross. The Son of Man is destroyed by his own hand, willingly on a cross. Isn't that cool? That is probably the super coolest thing I ever learned. So I'm going to learn how to read Hebrew and get more information. So neat this is, that that said all that there, and that's what it means to say in the beginning. That's pretty neat work. That's some crazy ass writing, man. I ain't shitting you. So the tent is your mind. Look at this, it's all up in here. This idea of the whole thing is about joining God. It's in the head, and where you pitch a tent. This is the meeting, all right? And then you're consumed by your own self, right? And you did it on purpose. This was a covenant that you made. You've made a covenant with God when He says, I will not destroy with water anymore. I'm going to give you guys this rainbow thing. You can come up here with me, and we'll just take care of you individually from now on. None of this mass destruction and stuff. Besides, we are learning God doesn't kill. Buddha doesn't kill. I listened to him the other day on the story. Here, I've got to put this brush in some water. I listened to him the other day, and he was introduced to the bad guy in the bunch. Shit. Introduced to the bad guy, and he says, I need to meet this bad guy. So you think, what's he going to do whenever he meets this bad guy? He doesn't do it. He invites him in. Invites him into the game. Come on and hang out with us. And called him friend, and this melted the guy's heart. Melted the bad guy. Buddha doesn't have closed fists, and it's funny because whenever I sleep lately, and have been, well, it's been about 2 years with that, I have carpal tunnel syndrome, and so I spend my time when I'm sleeping, instead of being like this, I've consciously flattened them out and lay them out. So in my mind, I'm saying I'm playing Buddha, because, Buddha doesn't kill things. And of course, we have this idea that ours does nothing but kill, and he loves killing, and that you can't have nothing without some blood spilling. Generally, seriously, the way these things run, I've already told you the one about you have to hate yourself so much, and then come as a child and things, but listen, it sounds like it's not so easy to do, and that our God does a whole mess of killing, and that we also use him to rebuke other people and to bring bad luck on them. And I'm telling you, and hate, I rebuke you. And I told this one gal, Wendy, I said, yeah, you can rebuke me. I couldn't feel it. Your rebuking skills must have been taken away from you. But none of these things, they're not, God doesn't kill. Only people kill. Only the devil kills. And that doesn't weaken our God, that strengthens him. Because God doesn't have the capacity that we have in our lower minds. He can't. It just doesn't. That's why they don't mix. You have to be in spirit, because your flesh just can't take it, just can't take it. We'll have to seriously get that in your mind, that, God alone just represents just your Father, you know, and you've got these two hearts. Because that other one is beaten in there too. It wishes that you used it, you know. But if you could combine them, just like they do in this Hopi prophecy business, is that, and in all of these stories, is to make yourself one, you know, because then you're serving Him, and it's a natural way. It's something that comes from inside of us. It's in our heads. It's already there. It's just waiting for you. You know, to tap into it. You know, you don't have to believe any of these other things. You know, I've heard that you could learn all of this off the top of the Bible. You could not learn what we are learning right now by reading and knowing the top of that Bible. You would never even think that they were talking about the Kundalini and that all of this business has to do with meditation. And most of the stories are about you look so good on the outside, you spend so much time on the outside, but the inside of you is rotten and dirty and full of shit, and decay and death. You know, you could just smell it. And, you know, and this is what the Indians used to say. They could smell us by what we eat. We eat dead things, you know, and now we found out that we worship in dead things. You know, we worship Jesus Christ dead on a cross. Then, you know, it's just this idea that we're worshiping the dead in us because we're not getting anything else out of it, you know. And that Joel Osteen, you know, he's showing he's got so much money. I just heard him say out of his mouth, says, you know, God wants me to be rich. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to preach. If I was poor and unhappy, I wouldn't be able to preach about this, you know, this beautiful thing. That's a bunch of crap. You know, Jesus didn't come to rich people. He never came. He said, when you're rich, you already know me already. Or you just don't give a damn. None of this shit ever matters to these people. It just doesn't. It doesn't feel. The higher you up on the ladder, the further away from shit you are. Jesus came to people that were down here in the shits. That's what it been. It didn't come to them. But these stories, these beautiful things, trickle down to mostly the slaves, a bunch of people. And then that doesn't mean that they're black people. Everyone's slave. You know, let me tell you, you know, when you grow up, my mom, I learned how to walk by pushing a vacuum cleaner. That was a good joke that I used to use. My mom said, I didn't like that. I didn't like that, you know. But as we got older, I told you one that, you know, my mom says you have two ways to clean, you know, your hands or with your forehead, you know, and she starts pushing me down into the dirties to show me what I missed, you know. So, you know, the evil exists on the outside of us, and somewhat on the inside. If you can't get in there and clean it up, you know, and so get in there as soon as possible. Go home, guys. Check it out. I'll have something more to talk to you about later on. I've got a painting and a deadline to take care of today. I love you guys. I certainly do. And every now and then we'll get people coming in here just pouting and hollering. This one gal, she goes, oh, I seen some Buddha. I'm out of here. What is she afraid of him? What's wrong with Buddha? What's wrong with some loving thing, you know? What causes people to be idiots, you know? What are they eating, you know? What are they drinking? Is it in the air? Oh, I hope it's not in the air. But it might be. Jesus Christ. I love you guys. Take care.